Okay, Islam Dwayne. Hi. Sheikh Dwayne Buffalo Islam. It is June the 9th, 2025. I don't know exactly what time it is. It's early in the morning. I just woke up. Literally, just woke up, and my face is not as puffy as it can be when I wake up. I just put on a shirt. This is one of my I had, it's been a lot. Let me finish my thoughts. It's been a long time since I went clothes shopping or shopping for clothes. So a lot of times on the videos, you will see me with um, the same clothes for years. Actually, I'm wearing Monty's old clothes now. Not now, for years I have been. Monty wears my, no, he doesn't really wear my old clothes. Like maybe to, like if he wants to lounge in, he might put on my old clothes. But we just, we wear one another clothes. I definitely wear his. So anyway, my face um, is a little puffy. Believe it or not, even if you can't see, I have healed a lot of the rings around my eyes, so they're not like they were. Um, I basically just woke up, went to the restroom. I was hearing feedback of Spanish speaking accent frequency in the apartment, male, the same one, sound like Mexican, maybe from El Salvador or others, and Black Negro. So anyway, Islam. And just so you can, the reason why I don't have on, excuse me, I don't have on eyeliner. All I wear is usually when I want to, um, I guess you want to say, look different and emphasize on my eyes is eyeliner and lip gloss. I wear that now when I go to Whole Foods, which is I like wearing it actually. I mean, it's just eyeliner. It's vegan eyeliner and lip gloss. I don't put on face mask or eyeshadow. Not saying I won't ever in the future when I go out, but that's just, I mean, it's just eyeliner and lip gloss. That's pretty much what I wear. So, and they're vegan. So, I just wanted you to see me without it. That's all. So, you can have a more of a visual of me waking up without um, the lip gloss that emphasize on um, pinkness of my lips or brown lips or whatever, and my eyes, which even though it looks like it's still dark, that if you can look, there's better. That's better. And really, I feel the dark rings around my eyes. Oops. And there, I think you can see better now. Yeah. I'm in another room. The room where we sleep in, I don't know why, but the lighting is different. And even in here, for example, my hair is like reddish brown naturally. It is reddish brown, but when I on certain videos, my hair actually looks black. I'm like, oh, but it's okay. But my hair is literally like a reddish brown color. And anyway, I'm being forced engaged, so I have to be careful. Um, I'll keep. I guess Dwayne bringing the camera up like this so you can see me, especially if I want to emphasize on something. I think. Once again, I just woke up, and I think it's like maybe 8 o'clock or 8:30 a.m. Yesterday, we have been doing a short fast. I stopped. When I say short fast, that means um, instead of like 48-hour fast, 36-day fast, which I have done with just drinking fluids. I drink fluids, but no solid food. It's been like 24 hours, which was very easy for us because we usually eat like once a day anyway through the years. So, but this week, I took it easy. I needed to because it was many reasons why. But I would naturally, not naturally, unnaturally, I was losing more nutrients because I would hear frequency in the apartment, and I wake up and I go to the restroom of, let me say, frequency of Spanish speaking, and when I wake up, Spanish speaking males and Black Negro, male and female outfits, and when I wake up and go to the restroom, um, unnatural, I would see little spots of blood in the toilet, and I knew because of me seeing on the spiritual realm predominantly Spanish speaking, look from El Salvador, Mexico, licking out their tongue like a snake at me, on the mental realm. I knew it was an attack. So I knew it has been attacked. It's not the first time. Um, and and once again, it's odd because in Annapolis, it would be my first experience being among those from Mexico, um, and El Salvador, or from South America, Brazil, um, Puerto Rico, or any Spanish speaking, Cuban, because it seemed as though they definitely, a lot of them have they link together through the language of speaking Spanish. But definitely, I found it odd, so odd, Dwayne, because I never even knew much about El Salvador at all. And me coming to Annapolis, where I'm experiencing or being able to see unclean spirits um, for the first time, um, in in truth about what I'm among on the spiritual in the spiritual realm, and to be among so many from El Salvador and Mexico. I don't, in South America, Central America. I don't find that a coincidence. And this being a city where the United States Navy, Army, and military branches are prevalent. I so many at Burger King, when I was there employed, the managers, not all, but that I know of, but a lot of them were connected to the police and the Navy and Army. Whole Foods. I just had a conversation with one of the um, the ATL or store leader. I think she might be a store leader now. Um, she was the one that hired me the first time through e-commerce, and I never asked her what was her name. I mean, not what her name. Excuse me, where she was from. I know her name, but I never asked her where she was from. I just when as I grew spiritually and through even before I awoke, I was more so. It was easy for me not to look at someone and develop a biased thought. It has been that way for me for years. And then eventually, when I first see someone that was different through the years before I woke consciously, between 2010 and 2011, of course, in the South, I might see someone, when I was younger, definitely at school, um, or through the years, just passing by, just literally, just so happened to be at an employer where someone speaks Spanish and just like, oh, where you from? And be like, oh, no big deal, nothing. It's like, oh, okay, cool. So, da da da, and move forward in thoughts. Never think of, ooh, that dirty, that filthy Mexican, those nasty, unclean Mexicans, which these were racist, not racist, excuse me. Um, these were very bigoted thoughts, wetbacks, and I thought through the years, unclean, filthy, um, dirty Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, I never asked anyone or came across. If I did, if they were from El Salvador, I didn't know. Okay, this is the first time in Annapolis I ever like knew someone knew and really asked, and they were like, "I'm from El Salvador." So, um, but and even in when I asked through the years in the South, I mean, it was like, "Okay, you from Mexico? Okay, cool," and that was it. I didn't spend much time in really trying to get to know someone. There was one time, this one guy, when I worked at this one employer, he said he was from Mexico, and I was surprised because he was an employer there too. And he was so pale. This is the first time that I realized Mexicans can be like very light skinned. And because I always thought Mexicans were more brown, but see, to show you how I knew very little about them, brown like me. Uh, but um, but this one was he said he was from Mexico, and he had like even reddish some type of reddish in their in his hair, and some of them even I've come across had light eyes, blue eyes, and stuff like that, so. And he was odd acting, very odd acting, but I mean, sometimes, but it more seemed like he was a guy that had a family and maybe he was stressed. I don't know, but I didn't take it personal. you know, I'll just be honest, like, okay, it's no big deal, because I didn't, wasn't my thoughts weren't that those filthy Mexicans, those filthy, unclean, spirited Mexicans or others from South Central America and Mexico, because yeah, I being in a world or being in a thought process of and in the status of African American and Black, and being in a program of how um, the history of Blacks um, and on this landmass, African American Negro, and slavery and discrimination and racial okay, and other forms of racial profiling, whatever, and other um, injustices towards African Americans and Blacks. The program, um, if when I would hear, even I've heard, believe it or not, through the years, I didn't really know why, but I was like, some of the pale skins, um, when they saw that, so a lot of the Mexicans were coming to places in Georgia, or more than usual, that was seeing them. They were really looking. I've heard them make comments to me, and I would just look at them and try to just like give them a heads, like a heads up, like, please don't talk to me about this, and then and then I was just like surprised, but they were really some of them were like they were very like irritated, and I was like, gosh. Oh, and they talking to an African American, a person, a woman who's African American, and they having these thoughts that seem to be definitely leaning more towards the prejudice, being prejudiced than anything. And I was like, what is wrong with them? It literally doing hate. I was like, what? I can't believe they're talking to me like this. Like, I was like, what's wrong with them? Do they not see that I'm Black or African? It made me it made me when I return back to my place of domicile, it made me want to just pull out um my Black Panther movie, whatever. It's like, I am Black and I'm proud. I'm Black and I'm proud. was like, literally, I was so surprised to hear the thoughts, because they verbalized how irritated they were. But I didn't think that they knew something that I didn't know, and then I didn't think that some of them might have had the telepathic code, and they knew, what some of them from Mexico really was. Hold on, the lighting changed. Was really here for. Okay, I don't know why, but the lighting changed. Let me see. I don't know why the line had changed, but it did. So I don't know. Anyway, I'll just keep bringing it up. So I didn't think that they were that they knew something. Um, that they knew something about some of them, or maybe and definitely too many of the Mexicans from South Central Americans that I didn't know. I didn't think about that. I was in a program. I literally was in a program um, in the status of African American and the discriminations that we have faced. Literally, it just I don't know why, but the lighting changed. I do know why. We're among humanoid AI. Also hearing that humanoid AI, so that are Mexicans and South Central Americans, African American, Black, Negro, and they are connected to the police and the unnaturalized police in the United States military. So getting back to the original thought, um, just a um, maybe a few days ago, I was the one of the store leaders or the hiring managers that hired me the first time at Whole Foods e-commerce. Um, I saw her. I've seen her since last year of July of 2024, maybe June of 2024, because I was communicating. No, I didn't really communicate with her before I was hired that much, but after I was hired, I was communicating with her. And I never asked her. I mean, she's brown skinned. I could tell that she was from or had ancestral background from somewhere. But I never asked, and that's how it was with many through the years, or more than you would think through years. In time, I asked, but I just got to know them and who they were, or just like, hi, how you doing? And then eventually ask. And then when I would ask, some of the response I got was so surprising. Like I met someone from Indonesia, I think it was Indonesia or the Philippines, excuse me, the Philippines, which I was surprised. Trinidad, I um, um, who looked, if you looked at him, but he was saying he had a mixed ancestral background. I thought he could have been from, I don't know, maybe South America, but he had a mixed ancestral background. I met some, I mean, just but I got to know them, just talking to them, as in not know them personally, but just like, hi, how you doing? That sort of thing at Whole Foods, and through the years, even when I was working for Burger King, that's how it would be for a while, and then eventually I asked because for whatever reason, it's not that I was dismissing where the person was from. It's just spiritually, I think naturally, I was just trying to get to know the person without knowing exactly where they were from, and then in time ask and go from there. Because you believe it or not, I think naturally I knew my spirit was just like um um keeping me balanced of away from prejudice thoughts, because sometimes when people automatically ask first, they develop, not sometimes, many times develop a thought of how that person will behave, or that makes sense why they act this way or that, so forth. So anyway, a few days ago, one of the hiring managers with that hired me the first time at Whole Foods, um, I just went ahead and asked her because I'm not at the department anymore, but I see her all the time, and I was just curious. I experienced a thought. It was a forced thought to ask her because I've been curious, but for a little while, but not too curious. In fact, she's the only one I gave a hug to when I was rehired back. I gave her a hug, and there was another lady, Janae. And I was just so happy to be rehired at Whole Foods again. I was like, "Can I give you a hug?" I think I said it, or or whatever. And I gave her, and she was like, "Yes." And I gave her a hug, and and there was another lady. Oops, not Janae. Excuse me. Excuse me. I don't like to say the names. I want to say Panay. Okay, I think I said the name wrong anyway. So anyway, another lady. Yeah, I don't like to say the name. I didn't say the last name, so it's okay. I gave them two a hug at the same time. I was like, gave one a hug. I was like, "Oh, thank you together." I was just like so happy. Anyway, I don't like. Anyway, I don't. I mean, sometimes I do. I say names. It's not. But this time, I just said I'm going to chill out and just really just focus on what's important, what the thought is. And it's not that I don't like to say names. It's just like I'm focusing on what the thought is. So, anyway, she told me. I asked the lady that was in the process of me being hired first time that at Whole Foods, and when I was rehired again, I was telling, I gave her a hug. I was so happy, but I was going to a different department, not her department. And when she was like, I'm mixed. I'm Japanese, Mexican, and I think she said something else. I think it was a third. I'm not quite sure, but I think it was another. I don't remember what the third one was, but the now I the I excuse me, the Japanese ancestral surprised me because I really didn't know. If I looked at her, I could just give a visual of what someone could, the description that's close to, but I really didn't know where she was from or what her ancestral background was. But anyway, she was saying that I said, "Do you know Japanese? So you can't speak it?" And she was like, "No." She was explaining. She said that her mother was ashamed of the Japanese culture but she didn't go in depth of why. And it just triggered a thought about how and I was so happy. I mean, it's not so happy, but just surprised because I don't know. It's just the Japanese culture. She Dwayne Baffelbay, and the Chinese culture, that culture which when I when as being someone who started to study more and more about history and try to connect the dots, and know how let me see if I can show you. um Hold on. How this is our rug vacuum cleaner. So I'm gonna show you how if you can see, I don't want to mess the camera up. This is black, okay? But how dark and melanated, in reference to melon, the people were originally in Japan, like the color black or really dark in China, before some odd mixture of experiments. I mean, it had to be. It's definitely experiments. Um, and um, and I would, but I'm just saying there was something um with Japan and China. I guess it wouldn't be so surprising with China because of Bruce Lee, and a lot of the karate movies were based from different martial arts from China, um, black and white martial arts. This is what I would stay up all night, a lot, many late nights as a young child, teenager. My dad. My dad will come in and see me up in the middle of the night watching black and white martial arts. I was such a tomboy. I'm serious. I was such a tomboy. So it's like praying mantis, drunken monkey, you know. even one time, Dwayne, I thought someone was breaking in our house in North Carolina. So this goes back even further when I was in North Carolina and living with my dad in the country. And I didn't know, I thought someone was breaking in our house. Here I am, 9, 10 years old, and I jumped up and did a kick, like I was trying to kick him in the gut or somewhere in one kick. And my dad was like, "What are you doing?" So he started laughing. I said, "Dad, I thought you was a burglar." My aunt and uncle were there, but I was up. Were they there? Who was? No, my stepmother was there, but I was up, and I heard someone walking in the house. I was like, walking, and I was like, and they were as they came downstairs because we were living in the pyramid house, the pyramid, and actually when you walked in, you went down in the ground, okay, and then you was upstairs. So he came down. My dad, late night work with, he came in. He walked downstairs. As soon as he came down from there, I jumped up and I put in my one leg kick, and he like he was just laughing, you know. Anyway, so just to give you an idea, how much I enjoyed the Chinese culture, and then through the years learning about the global mixture that has taken on, that has been implemented to lighten the skin up. And it's like, why? Why was that done? And so why was that purposely done? It definitely, it's like it was purposely done. So why was it done? Because even so, it was, so at that time it was more Chinese culture because of the movies that I even had a huge poster of Bruce Lee in my room. So to let you know, and Bruce Lee. I brought a Bruce Lee shirt. I used to wear that everywhere. Bruce Lee. So, um, anyway, just to let you know how much I enjoyed and just was into the culture of China and the movies and listening and learning the martial arts, or just copying what I saw as much as I can on through the TV. Even when I came here to Annapolis, I enjoyed. I had to read because a lot of the movies were in another language. Some of the movies were about Japan, Japanese culture, and I just really enjoyed it. But it wasn't Japan. When I learned about Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the bombings, that's when I mean, it just really touched me. I don't know, where others might have said, well, they were the threat. I just knew right off. I said something's odd. I said, why would we do such a thing and use the atomic bomb and do such things like that to those two people? Why? And I was just really upset about that. Nagasaki and Hiroshima, it still is, and the bombings. It's like, how can you use the atomic bomb on an area, and why? But I'm gonna just leave room that I don't know. When you think you know something, you don't know everything. You don't know nothing. But some of the African Americans, conscious said they were trying to create a new Japanese person. For they would say that the conscious African Americans, the blacks, they were like they bombed, and then through the years they started to create a whole new breed of Japanese. Um, um, they wanted, and so, and they wanted to get rid of the dark, deep melon, that black melon energy that was in Japan, the samurai, that samurai energy. Oh my goodness, I don't even want to talk about that because I might start to tear up. And because when I would hold on, I'm probably in forced engage. Hold on. I don't know. I'm probably forced engage. I don't know. The samurai. I don't know why when I talk about him, it affects me sometimes. A lot of times, I don't know why. I really don't. Hold on. And I think it's just being forced. I'm being forced engaged. But I found it interesting, Sheik the Wave Alphabet, that the samurai visit Egypt. I found through the years online, believe it or not, someone that was doing research on obviously on Japan found pictures of the samurai of Japan going to Egypt and to the pyramids. So anyway, then through the years, um, with the implementation of the new Japanese, um, they wanted to get rid of the old ways and thoughts of Japan, which included the samurai. I learned, I don't know in depth, so I'm just going by basic reading or um, learning. So I haven't gone in depth about the education about this, but it just really touched my heart or my inner being about the samurai. In some of their morality and what they stood on and how it was deliberately planned, um, an agenda to kill them and destroy them as the new thought of what Japan should be about. I even started to correlate the years between the 1865. I think it was in the 1800s, and the implementation of Abraham Lincoln's like the late 1700s and 1800s, if I remember correctly. On some of the last, I could be wrong, and I started to look at the timeline and how close, in reference to Abraham Lincoln's proclamations and emancipations of the proclamation emancipating um, those prisoners of war, freeing prisoners of war and those that were considered slaves. I started to study the timeline of the samurai and the attacks that were placed upon the samurai to destroy them, in the um, timeline of Abraham Lincoln and his journey to be president and implement um, the Constitution and the freeing of prisoners of war and those that were considered slaves. So, what I find interesting is, anyway, Imani, he he was so, has been through the years so attached to the Japanese culture. And he would, and I don't know what caused him to be so connected to the Japanese culture as a young boy, teenager, and adult, but he was. I mean, I definitely didn't see anything wrong with it. It's just, I was, I just knew, because I knew with me being connected so much. And as through years, I went, I knew some about Japanese culture, as you can see. So I didn't know why. Sometimes I would think, and I'm going to express this thought with Nagasaki and Hiroshima. I was thinking about those spirits and how when when those spirits were the people were murdered with the A bomb. I was thinking how some of those spirits came through the line again and could have been come through in different ways in different realms to people, to some of the melanated, or even it could be pale skin, but here on this landmass from Japan, because I'm gonna use this thought because I have a cousin that my aunt, her son, she said that when he was born, he was speaking another language. My aunt told me this. She said when he was born, one of her children, he was and was able to speak. He knew another language. How would a southern child in North Carolina um was able to speak know another language from a mother, single parent, who only speaks English? So I used to have these thoughts that those spirits, that the A bomb, those people, where they that which put that sent the A bomb to Nagasaki and Hiroshima, thought they were really getting rid of and killing to rebirth a new form of Japanese. But what they might have done is sent is not might have done, but what the spirits did was just um, moved through the realms and came to the land of Egypt here, as Abraham called this land, Abraham Lincoln, Egypt to the west. So Anyway, um, this is not how I wanted. I didn't mean to get on this subject like this, but getting back, I was telling the team leader or store leader, excuse me. I think she's a store leader now. I think that as she told me when she said that her mother was ashamed of the Japanese culture or something in so many words, I brought for whatever reason the thought of me. I was like, because first of all, I was still my energy was like, wow, you part Japanese, you gotta be kidding me, I was like, and just to connect. She's the one, so she's the only one, and this other lady that I ever hugged at Whole Foods, and so I was just, I just automatically just felt a connection. I just wanted to disclosure and just like, oh, and have it show a common thread about maybe being the shame part. I was like, and this it's over here, even with my family, possibly I paused like possibly, like, you know, um, the light skin and dark skin. Well, if you the lighter you were, the doors open. So many, like even in my family, my father's side would just sort of just stick with the those that were light skinned to not all. It was in my on my father, 'cause my grandmother, but the history was with my grandmother is that she was one out of others that actually married someone that was darker skinned, but others would marry lighter skin. A lot of them had green eyes, the wavy, reddish hair, brownish hair, and so forth. And so the thought was through those that were historians, they would say they were passing someone so they can pass to be white so that they can get indoors where the dark skinned black was not able to get indoors in employment and status of the government and so forth because of they not wanting to hire darker skin. Why? And so I was like, as I was saying that, her as the lady I was talking with, the team leader at Whole Foods was just nodding, as in she knows the history too. I said, this is the history of some of the history here through slavery, through the slavery, the light skin and stuff, and I guess maybe in my family too could be some form of shame, but I didn't bring up us being American Indians. I just was saying I was just to show the commonality of shame and in the history of blacks here who would actually literally not want to be with a darker skin African American because of them trying to survive and pass and the and navigate um so because trust me and there's a certain uh, that we call them Melungeon Moors. I when I see one, I know one. It's just like from Louisiana. Louisiana, they have light skin there, and a different type of light skin. It's a different energy, and you won't, and you might not be able to pick up on it unless you grew around that Cajun that um, um, not Cajun, that mulatto energy. And that's it's not the same as white. It's a different light skin. It's a different melon. And if you never grew up around them, you would not know. You might be someone that be like, oh, that either you might say, I don't know what she is or he is, or but just like white because that's how because you wouldn't know. But when I was in North Carolina, I saw some still, and I knew immediately that they weren't white. I knew because I grew up around. I know that energy, that frequency. In Louisiana, it's the same thing. There's a frequency with some of the mulatto
um, that would speak French. I don't know why I can't pull up the correct term now. I do know why. So I think that's, I mean, forcing gate, I just heard energy to try to block a thought of those that are in Louisiana that spoke a broken French and African dialect, and um, like in Haiti, and if you don't, if you're not used to seeing or being around that frequency, and you were maybe somewhere else from north, or a foreigner, or from North America, northern part, and you never been to Louisiana or been around those the people, you would think, oh, that's a white person possibly, or some, you know, you wouldn't realize that the frequency of that is actually a mulatto, or that frequency of that African frequency that's there. In North Carolina, I was gone for years. When I came back, and moved there again in 2013, even though I was gone from North Carolina since 1985, I think, or 86. When I moved back to North Carolina, I still, even though I hadn't been around my father's side in a while, I still knew and saw some of them and knew that they weren't white, because I know I grew up around them in my family all my for so many years. I knew. I and light eyes. Some of them had light eyes. I knew. And then when I saw someone that was pale skinned, I knew that they were pale skinned. So anyway, so um um so in so many words, that's what I was saying to the person that was speaking with at Whole Foods, to bring a coming out. And I have never talked about something like that at Whole Foods. But when she brought up the word shame or embarrassed, she said embarrassed her mother was of the Japanese culture, and because of the connection of the hug, and I've always like, hi, you know, and everything. I just, and when she said Japanese, no, it was because of that. And when she said Japanese, I just felt the need to disclosure, to say, you know, I too have some history like that in my family, I think. And or there was probably other reasons too, because believe me, um, older people, they knew more than maybe that was passed down. And I think I didn't say this in Whole Foods, but definitely I think because back in those days, you knew your neighbors and you knew what was going on, and you knew things that were going on. And I think some of the old ones in the country knew that there was experiments going on, because some blacks, you know, they came up and they were like off. They were off mentally, violent, um, just off completely frequency of not being humane, and I think they knew. I think definitely there was, that's where maybe the origin of why some of the Melungeon Moors said, be careful of these certain blacks, or be careful. The origin of it might somehow been. I didn't say this at Whole Foods. Okay, I just stopped at the mix of the shame part of passing, trying to pass, and then that was it, because I had to clock in on it from. And this was during my break of lunch. Yeah, I just left it at that. And she was, and it was like, okay, that's it. And it's like, okay, well, anyway, you know, and then and move forward. But I'm saying this now. I think some of the Melungeon Moors knew some of the experiments that were going on, and because they knew, they were like, they were just um, they began to be careful. And I think the origin of why, of some of the reasons why, just like any thing that can be passed down verbally, okay, was forgotten. because being among um, lab experiments here in Annapolis, me here is not a mistake. And for me to talk about it's not a mistake. I'm gonna stop there because I'm looking at the time and it's already going on an hour and I have to upload the video. So I'm gonna go to part 2. Okay, Dwayne?